Welcome to the booksbybethel.com Authors Corner podcast, where we explore the diverse voices of the Bahamas and the West Indies. Join us for insightful conversations with authors who bring unique perspectives to the literary scene. Here's your host, Teri Bethel.
Hello, and welcome to the Authors Corner podcast. We have an exciting guest today, one I'm sure you will be delighted to hear from. He's Errol Duke Strachan, a musician, singer, music instructor, founder of the Bahamas Youth Orchestra, and a businessman who recently published his memoir at the age of 90. The memoir is called This Is My Life, a Bahamian Rhapsody. This memoir is a treat for those who want to know what life was in the Bahamas almost 100 years ago, from a man from humble beginnings who made his mark on the national and international scene in music. Welcome to the Author's Corner, Mr. Strachan.
Thank you.
Now, I want to just let our audience know, our viewers know, that if they hear any pots in the background or any sounds, that's okay, because today is the day the Strachans open their homes to their friends and family to share a meal. And that's become a tradition in your home, hasn't it, Mr. Strachan? You are the quintessential host, and your wife as well as the hostess. Tell us a little bit how that tradition started, just to start off with.
Repeat that.
You have started, you host people in your home every Sunday, and today is Sunday, and I just want you to share with our audience how this tradition started.
Oh, well, my wife would be very entertaining, and with me, I just like people. I just like good people, nice people.
Yes. So you have been doing this for how many years, having people come over?
Almost 50 years.
Almost 50 years. And your wife has been cooking.
Yeah. In fact, she's in the kitchen cooking now.
That's right. That's right. Right. And
I wish you could smell the food.
I wish I could too. And I've had the pleasure of not just smelling it, but coming there and tasting it.
Okay, well, make sure you hurry back.
Yes, I will. I will. So, Mr. Strachan, why don't you start by telling us a little more of your book, about your story, your life story, and then we can get into the book. You know, you have an intriguing story to tell, and I just love it that you have a memory that goes back to, and it's incredible, to when you were
two and a half years old.
2.5. Wow. 2.5.
2.5 years old, yeah.
Right. So tell us some of your early memories. We'd love to hear that.
I remember going to Bahamas General Hospital to see my mother with my brother, who was 2.5 years younger than me when he was born. I remember the street we took. I remember going to the hospital. I remember seeing him in bed with the baby. I was 2.5 years old. And that picture is still in my mind right now.
And you came from humble beginnings, and you know, you got your work ethic, I think, from your mother, which helped to propel you. You were, first of all, you were a shoeshine boy when you were a child.
More than that.
Yes, tell us.
Well, I was a shoeshine boy. I was learning tailoring, mechanic, taxi driver, entertainer, musician, and the list goes on.
And you did well with that.
A little bit builder also.
Yeah. Oh, a builder too. So I remember you telling the story of how your fingertips got blown off.
Oh yeah, that's a very interesting story.
Yeah.
I had a dispute with the woman who was looking after us when my mother go to work, and I wanted to get something to eat, and she wouldn't let me get it. So I pushed her out of the way, and I got it, and I changed my clothes. And on my way out, she said, you little no manners thing, before this day out, something serious can happen to you. 15 minutes later, I went and sit on the wall on Nassau and Meadow Street with my friends, and this young man who I know from a child, Sabu, came there with this pretty little gold-looking thing in his hand along with a match. I said, let me see it. And he said, no, I don't want to see it. So I twisted his wrist and I took it out with a match. Well, I learned after it was a dynamite cap. So I scratched the match and put it in the hole in the cap, and it exploded.
Wow.
And three tips of my fingers was gone, just like that.
Right. But what is intriguing about that is, well, first of all, you said, I think, that you didn't have all the pain that people would have thought.
Yeah, no, I didn't feel an ache from it one day at all.
My goodness.
None at all.
But what was remarkable, Mr. Strawn, was after that you learned how to play how many instruments?
Oh yeah, saxophone, the flute, the clarinet, a little bit of the trumpet, a little bit of the piano.
And then you became a singer, but you didn't know that you could sing. How did that?
Well, I know I could sing because I always was singing, even from a
Okay.
choir boy, altar boy, choir boy.
Okay.
I was always singing, but I didn't become professional until I won a first prize in the contest.
Okay.
Then I realized I could take it further.
Okay. So you realized you could take it further, but then you were discovered, weren't you, when you were a taxi driver, because you began, you were singing, you used to entertain your clients while
Right.
you.
They call me the singing taxi cab driver. Because, you know, once you got in my cab once and you're there for 2 weeks, you're going to use me for the 2 weeks because I sing your song every time you get in my cab.
Wow, wow. So they really got showtime in addition to their ride. And you really bonded with quite a number of these people. And
Oh yeah, up to this present time, I'm still in contact with a lot of people I met as a taxi driver and as a entertainer.
Right.
And right here where we sit now, Sidney Poitier dying here, Patrick Ewing dying here, Dr. J dying here, Roy Hamilton dying here, among others.
Right. And people are still dining today.
Yeah, every Sunday.
They will still at your house today, and they will be going in and out.
The thing is, I wish your husband could come back around 3 o'clock and join us.
Well, I don't know if he can do it this Sunday, but perhaps another one.
When you come into that.
Oh, I am not so sure about that, but hopefully soon. But Mr. Strawn, you just happened to be driving one man one day singing a song, and he thought you were fantastic.
Oh yeah.
And that really turned your singing career. That opened up, didn't it?
Right. He actually set up a audition in Miami for me. He, you know, his car broke down out by the airport, and I had to go to service him. And I had to come back to get a pass to come back to town, and I was singing for him on the way back. And, you know, you should be in the States singing. You sing pretty good. I said, yeah, I always wanted to be a professional singer. He said, well, I'll set up a audition for you. He sure did. He set up the audition. I went to Miami. Took me about 10-story building up the elevator, and he played the piano for me. And the fellow who was auditioning me, I sang about 4 or 5 ballads, and he said, "Okay, let's hear some of your Bahamian calypso." I said, "I don't know any." I didn't know one because I always sang either ballads or semi-classic songs. And some of my favorite song to do was westerns.
Oh.
And he said, well, that's what we're interested in, because Harry Belafonte set the pace. And that's what was really selling, calypsos. So I had to come back and learn some. That's how I began to get very established as a singer, singing both calypso and ballads.
Yes.
All through the years.
And then you formed a band, didn't you?
Say that again?
You formed a band.
Oh yeah, I had Duke Errol and the Lords.
Right. And so how did this name Duke come about?
Well, that's another story. My cousin King Eric was working at the Bahamas first, and they fired him, and they got me. But they give him the name King because they had a dining room called Knights of the Round Table, King Arthur's Round Table.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they give Eric the name King Eric and his Knights.
Okay, we lost you for a minute.
So yeah, because they missed and knocked the camera down.
Okay.
So he gave King Eric his name, King Eric and his Knights. And when I went there, I read this Errol Strawn's quintet.
Okay.
He said, let's keep it royalty. Why not call it Duke Errol and the Lords? And that's how that happened.
So, and from that day to this day, people still refer to you as Duke.
Oh, yeah. Most people.
Yes. People from...
Most people don't know me as Errol. They know me as Duke.
Wow. So that quintet or your group, you traveled to Canada.
Oh, yeah. South Africa, New York, throughout Florida.
And later
Montreal and Ontario.
Later on, you actually recorded. You went in a recording studio and you produced.
That was earlier. I had my first recording in 1963.
Okay.
It's entitled Nassau Island. The album is entitled Nassau Island.
Okay. Right.
1963.
Right.
And I did five albums.
Oh, wow. I did not know that all of those. But you know, you had
no, really six, really. Because if you can see this one here, this is the sixth one.
Okay. And do you have those, any of those available today? I know.
Yeah, I have them.
Okay. Because you were quite the businessman. I mean, you wrote the book, you toured as an artist, but you wrote this book when you were 90 years old, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm now 91.
Right. And so most people would have said, well, that's an accomplishment in itself, just writing the book. But you didn't write it and stop. You have been selling these books like nobody's business, and you are still doing business. You are still doing business because you have still have your studio where you teach children. So you're teaching music. You are the founder of the Bahamas Youth Orchestra.
Bahamas National
Youth Orchestra, right. And
Bahamas National Youth Orchestra.
So, right. And so now at the age of 91, you're still working with these youth, at least facilitating these youth.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, we just had a concert last Sunday.
Isn't that amazing?
Fabulous. It was a fabulous concert down in Coral Lakes.
Right.
At these people home. They saw fit to do something to honor me.
Isn't that lovely?
And it was very well attended, very nice.
Beautiful, beautiful. And one Sunday we were there, we saw that the youth actually still come in to practice. So you have
practice this afternoon, 3 o'clock.
You open your home, you know, this is
every Sunday, 3 o'clock.
It's amazing. You know, most people your age would be sitting out on the porch in a rocking chair.
Oh, no, that's not for me. That's not for me.
You do, just keep going. You're like time.
In fact, before your husband came, I was working in the garden all morning.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, so Mr. Strachan, tell us a little more about your mother, you know, because I started off asking you about your early start, but you said that it was your mother who really impacted your life. Oh,
she wanted me to be somebody. She tried to get me in anything anybody was doing work-wise, regardless of what it was. Take my son with you.
Wow.
And that's how I'm able to do a lot of things for myself.
Wow.
I helped to build this house myself. I did a lot of work here myself.
Yes, incredible.
Yeah.
Did she teach you how to cook?
I could cook before I met my wife. Let's put it that way. Because on the contract, I had to cook for myself. I was on the contract.
Oh, you went to the States for contract. That's Florida, right?
Right. I had to cook for myself. Bacon and rice, corned beef and rice.
Wow.
with a lot of tomato paste.
Oh my, yeah.
The American people there used to tease me, said, I always cooking that red rice because it was full of tomato paste.
Yeah. So you also, yes, you said your mother gave you the work ethic, and
Well,
she,
she wanted me to do something.
yes, so
And she really tried.
right. At one point, she even sent you to the Family Islands because I think you were getting into mischief.
So I could stay off the street because I used to like to wander. I
Oh,
always wanted to be where the action was.
right.
And Bay Street was my main thoroughfare.
And you did like going to the movies also.
Oh, the movie was my big deal. I, I always didn't have I didn't always have money to get in, but I would hang around until the doorman would see my sad looking face and he would let me go in. So he called me over one day and said, I see you hanging around here all the time. I'm gonna let you go in one more time. Don't let me see you back here again.
Wow.
And I left, and I went back when I could have paid to go in.
Wow.
And his name was Byron Smith. I'll
My
never
goodness.
forget him.
My goodness.
He taught me a lesson.
Yeah. But your father, you didn't, you lived with your mom, but your father still had.
Yeah, they never lived together. He was a caretaker on Cable Beach. He lived on Cable Beach. I
Right.
used to go out there, spend holidays out there with him, but we didn't interact too much
Right.
until I go looking to get a little handout from him.
Yeah. And one time you took the money he still told you to give to your mother. And what did
Oh
he?
yeah, well, and I go to the movie. I like to go to the movie with the money. One time he gave me the money to get my haircut. I went to the movie. And when I knew he was coming by one day, I tried to cut my own hair.
Oh
And he
my.
came and said, this don't look good to me. You know, as a little boy, I thought I was doing something great.
Right.
I was a teenager at the time,
Uh-huh.
young teenager.
Right. You really were a handful for your mother, but you grew out of it. What do you think?
Yeah,
What do you think
yeah.
was the reason for that? Was it the discipline from your parents, or did you just wake up one day and say, I got to do better?
Well, no, when I start to work and make money, it kind of changed me.
Okay.
You know, my first good job was at 21st Century, which was Balmoral Club, being built by Sir Oliver Simmons, where my first big paycheck was £3 a week. That was a lot of money for me at that time because working in the garage mechanic shop, I was only making about 10 shillings
Wow.
when the week is up.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my first big, that was 1948.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it kind of changed me from there. And then my father, after that closed down, my father got me a job at Malcolm Garage, Malcolm Western Service Station,
Right.
which is still there on West Bay Street.
Right.
And I worked there for years. Then I moved from Malcolm Western Station to Malcolm Eastern Station, then to Malcolm Main Station on Bay Street. Then I become a tune-up man. I used to do tune-ups.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then
No
sometime
big.
after that, you bought your own car?
Oh yeah. At that time, I bought an old Plymouth, an old 1938 Plymouth, and I used to hack in that, taking people to the racetrack.
Oh, so for those
2
who
shillings a
don't,
head.
so those who
2
don't
shillings
know,
a head.
those who don't know,
Tuesday and Thursday.
right? So hacking is taxiing without a proper license, correct?
Yeah. And then in 1955, a man named Harold Major from Chippenham allowed me to drive his taxi. And that's
Okay.
where I really, really made a big jump from £6 a week at Malcolm at the time to £30 a week.
Wow.
In the taxi.
So responsibility, becoming responsible and knowing what you could do and achieve with your finances, that helped.
That's where I started to build. That's where I started to build my first house in Boyd subdivision.
Right.
After becoming a taxi driver.
And then
I
you
did
moved.
that for years,
Mhm.
and I used to do both, drive taxi in the day and entertain at night.
Okay.
So I was doing well.
You were working over at Paradise Island for a stint as well, weren't you?
Yeah,
The
in the
cabaret.
theater there in the casino for 10 years. I spent 10 years there.
Right.
That was much later. I left in 19. I went in the 70s and left in the 90s.
Wow, that's a long stint. Well, your life story is incredible, and I think you should be applauded for even thinking about writing this down and pursuing, telling your story and pursuing the publishing of your story.
Yeah, and I must admit too that my mother was very poor, but she did her best. She was able to buy a lot for 14 pounds, 13 pounds in Baintown. That I remember from Mr. Mackey, 13
Right.
pounds. And I had to give her a shack that they tore down to build a guest house, and she brought that shack in Baintown on a truck.
The
roof.
Yes.
Victor Dean made 2 trips with the truck, and that was erected, and that was our home.
Wow.
In Baintown, Enos Lane, and I went to St. Joseph School when I went to Baintown, and that's where I joined the church and the choir boy, then an altar boy. But how I got to be a member of St. Joseph, the woman that my mother used to leave us with on Meadow Street in Miss Bain, her son Newton used to go to church, and when he come home in the morning, he come home with a handful of candy. And so he gave me a couple, and I said, "Where you always get these candies?" He said, "Sister gives you these for coming to church." So I said, "Well, take me with you tomorrow." And he took me with him, and I got my handful of candy, and I've been getting it ever since.
So they sure
Then
have
I joined
it for you.
I become a Catholic. My mother wasn't a Catholic; she was Baptist, but she become one of the outstanding Catholics in the community.
Wow.
She met as Mother Lillian Taylor.
Wow, very interesting. You have so many of these stories in the book, and what impresses me is you even remember.
And I've got,
you even remember the cost of things, like how much the sausage cost, or like you just said, the piece of property that your mom bought.
Okay, because I could remember a tin of corned beef was 6 pence a tin, 6 pence, 7 cents.
My Lord.
They had 2 sizes. One was 5 pence and one was 6 pence. Remember that, Blaine? Right. Gas was 1 shilling a gallon.
My goodness. How was it? How was it for you transitioning?
Say it again.
How was it to transition from pence to dollars?
Oh, yeah, it didn't matter to me because I working being on a contract too. I knew the difference between dollars.
Yes.
And that wasn't hard for me.
Okay.
That was 1966, 66. I think it was April of 1966. We changed from sterling to dollars.
Right.
And I must mention too that I never went to school with shoes on one day.
My goodness.
I had 1 pair of shoes that was for Sunday. And as soon as I come home, once I take them off, they were for Sunday. So I went to school barefoot the whole way through.
Yes.
Not only me, a lot of the boys, all the boys in general. The girls was able to wear either tennis shoes or some kind of shoe, but the boys, all the boys with bare feet.
Right, right. I've heard similar stories. And if you
in those days,
if you went to church and you were fortunate to have shoes, they say you used to have to, they tied the laces and threw them over the shoulder. And then when they got to church, they were able to put on, but you don't walk in them. Yeah.
No, my mother said, when church, I'll take them off. Walk home barefoot. By the way, being a shoe shine boy, your family, I used to go make a whole day there. It was such a big family. I used to clean all their shoes. The Simonettes in Chippenham,
Right.
There was no paved road at the time. It was a track road. But
Wow.
when I go there, I could remember all the sons. Was Kenneth was the oldest son,
Right.
and who? Say that again. Second boy. He was a
Kenneth,
pilot.
Eric, Lee, Baldwin.
Eric, Lee, Baldwin, Artie,
Roddy, yes.
yeah, and Stella, and your mother, and Thelma. Oh, by the way, I just ran into your first cousin this morning. That's Mabel's daughter. I thought it was Mabel. I said, hey, Mabel. She said, no, Mabel's daughter. She looked exactly like Mabel.
Yes, yes. Her children are stumped.
I just ran into her in the drugstore this morning.
Okay. Let me ask you this, Mr. You have such an incredible memory. I remember hearing stories about those trips from from New Providence by sailboat, the mailboat at the time, into the Family Islands. How was that experience?
Yeah.
Because your mom sent you off one day.
Yeah, but when I went to Auckland, see, I was born in Auckland. My mother, I was conceived in Nassau.
Right.
My mother went to Auckland to have her baby because her mother was a midwife.
Okay.
And I went back to Auckland at about 6 or 7 years old. Take 2 weeks to get there.
What?
By sailboat.
So
if there's no breeze, if there's no wind, the boat don't move. No. If there's no breeze, the boat don't move. Because you have to, the wind had to hit the sail for the boat to really move.
Right.
So sometimes we stand still for hours.
Wow.
So it took us 2 weeks to get there. And I didn't like it. I got seasick the whole trip.
How did you eat? What did you eat?
I went to school there for a year.
Mr. Strachan, what did you eat when you were on the boat? What did you eat?
Oh, yeah.
How did you
eat? They had a cook. The boat had a cook. It was either fish and grits or conch stew, something like that. It wasn't nothing fancy.
Okay.
But whenever I ate, I threw it up.
Oh goodness. Yeah.
I was seasick the whole trip.
Right. And so then you went and you lived with your grandfather, who instilled virtues.
My grandfather was a disciplinarian.
Right.
Disciplinarian. One day as a little boy, 6 years, let me put it this way. Before I went to Auckland, I wouldn't go in a dark room for nothing. In the dark room, you couldn't get me to go in a dark room. But he broke me out. He break me out of that because he sent me everywhere in the night.
Wow.
One time he sent me for the horse one afternoon, and I didn't go. I didn't want to go because the horse was about 1.5 miles away in the pasture, and I didn't want to go. I figured he would forget. So around 6 o'clock, he asked me where did I tie the horse. He knew I didn't go get it. I told him I didn't go. First he sent my brother with me. So after he got his whip and he gave me a couple of cuts, and he said, "Now go get the horse." And I said, "Come, Steve, let's go." He said, "No, go by yourself." So that was the charge because I was afraid. It was in the night now.
Yes.
I had to walk about 1.5 miles in the past to get the horse. And I went, and it was a moonlight night. I never forget it. Moonlight night. I saw the horse in the pasture, and it seemed like trying to get to it, he keep moving away because I wanted to get to him so bad. It seemed like he keep moving away.
Yes.
So I finally got to him. I tried to get on his back. I was too small to get on his back, so I had to walk him back home. Walking him home, I was kind of tense because I walked him in the back of me. I said something that attacked me from the front. So I put him in the front of me. I walked behind him. And I said, something that attacked me in the back. I keep shifting him front to back, until I got to my grandfather's yard. And I never disobey him again.
Well?
No, never disobey him again.
Wow. And then later you had to
he had a homemade whip. He had a homemade whip that he made to chastise his grandchildren. You know, by the way, I must say it was 137 of us, 137 grandchildren.
Oh my goodness.
They had 16 children, and most of them had 10 children or more. Some had 16. Wow. My mother had 13. The last daughter had 11. Father Ward, mother was the last child. She had 10 boys and 1 girl. Wow. King Eric, mother had, I think, 16. The older sister had the same amount. My mother had 13. So when I counted, it was like 137 Oh, not counting the boys, but the sons. He was 137.
My goodness, that's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
I remember you telling the story also about when your mom sent you to Eleuthera.
Oh, yeah.
And
I
you,
had a 2 weeks I spent there and had a toothache. For
uh-huh.
2 weeks, I had this toothache, and I cried all day, all night, until somebody told my aunt to get a milk can, put some hot ashes in it, and let him put his mouth over that, let him breathe it in and out. But then I had an abscess and didn't know.
My goodness.
That sort of a burst abscess, and that's when I got some relief. Never forget that.
Mhm.
2 weeks I had this very bad toothache. I didn't know it was an abscess.
Yes, and then, but you decided you were homesick.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I didn't like it there. My aunt didn't even know I left. I walked the beach up to the dock, just jump on the boat and came to Nassau. No passage. Just because
Isn't that something?
when you were to and from, they didn't charge a passage.
Yes, yes, and that I find that quite amazing. But Mr. Strawn, you have had a colorful life, a wonderful life and a wonderful opportunity to share your story in your book. Do you have a copy right there? You could let people see
Oh
what the
yeah.
book looks like.
One should buy the book to get the full story. But this only
Absolutely.
what I'm talking about here is only in parts. This is the book here. It's
Well,
called This
yeah,
Is My Life.
right.
You
A
can get it from
Bahamian
Neo
Rhapsody.
Logos or on Amazon.
Right. Or people can come to you like they have been coming and
Yeah.
getting copies from.
I just got another shipment coming in this week.
Okay. Right. So they should know where you are too, because you have a plant nursery on Soldier Road and people come there all the time.
There's just two doors south of
Cylinder?
the Woodlawn Cemetery. 2 doors
That's
south
correct.
of that.
That's correct. Yes.
The white 2-story house trimmed with red. Can't miss it.
Right.
Bethel Cosine is on my property.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Bethel goes up to the corner, and the sign is right on my property. You can't miss it.
Okay. Well, it's been a joy speaking with you, but there's so many people who have a story to tell. What would you say to people who are getting along in life and have a tremendous story to tell?
Yeah, I should say tell your story, because see what I discovered now, I'm the oldest musician and entertainer alive today.
In the
The
Bahamas.
oldest. Yeah. The next to me is Peanuts Taylor. He's still alive.
Okay.
He's about 2 years younger, but all the others are gone.
Mm-hmm. And you are telling
Yeah.
your story.
That is amazing.
It is amazing, but tell me something.
And there's nobody for me to talk to. Well, I didn't hear you too well.
Oh, we must have a delay. I was going to ask you, how did it feel when you got your book in your hand for the first time?
Oh, complete.
Wow.
Because people was behind me for years. You should write a book, and finally it happened.
Yes.
Thanks to you, the publisher.
Well, it was my pleasure. We happened to be there. My husband and I happened to be there when you received your first copy, your proof copy.
Yeah.
And you took that and you gripped that, and it was so moving to watch you hold that book. And your eyes just welled up with tears. It was just such an emotional time. I thought
right.
for that moment that Mr. Strawn is now feeling what women feel when they give birth. That, this is so rewarding. Not the pain, but this is so rewarding. This is so fulfilling. Yeah. I did it. Mr. Strawn, it has been delightful talking with you today. And perhaps we can get together and talk some more, and maybe even have Mrs. Strawn tell her story, because she's in the book and you have wonderful pictures.
She's got a story. She got a story. She got a story to tell.
And
I had a wonderful marriage.
Yes.
67 years of it.
Yes.
In June it'll be 68 years. Lovely years. No complaint. No complaint. Never had a fuss. Never had a fuss. I mean, we had little words every so often. Raise my voice,
Yeah.
but never no fuss like that. And she never told me no in her life or go do it yourself.
My goodness.
Never once. Whatever I asked her for, she would do it willingly.
She is really a woman of service because
Oh yeah, she's the greatest.
yeah. So we were there one day. One day, my husband and I came to visit, and although she's walking with a cane now, she was still bringing you your lunch from the
Oh
kitchen
yeah,
into your
yeah.
studio.
She still do that. She still do that. She still.
Yes, it's amazing, and so lovingly she serves, and
Right
she's
now
like that with
the
everybody.
table is already the table is already set for this afternoon.
Wow. But you know, she that's a passion of hers too, because in her early days, she had a restaurant as well.
Yeah, she had a takeaway.
Okay.
But she worked in a restaurant. She worked in restaurants as a
Right.
waitress. Not
Right.
yeah, as a waitress at Grand Central Restaurant she worked at, and then Charlie's Lunchroom, which was a lunch counter.
Right.
That's where we met. And she was working there then.
Yes. Well, any last words? Any last words you'd like to say? Do you have any last?
Well, yeah. I was thinking. I was as far as the music is concerned. I wish the government would bring their head together and try to get nightclubs moving on the island again for tourist purpose.
That's another story for another day.
Yeah,
Today,
yeah,
we just
yeah.
want to celebrate you,
The
Mr.
government don't seem to understand that. That's a tourist attraction. Bring the water tower back. It's a tourist attraction. I see they fixing up the Queen Staircase now, which is good.
Uh-huh.
But the water tower was one of the main scenic view on this island. That was closed down now for about 10, 15 years.
Wow. Well, Mr. Strachan, it's been lovely chatting with you today. And I want to wish you all the best with your book, the continued success with your book, and blessings to you and Mrs. Strachan today as you meet with your family and friends to break bread.
Hurry back. You hurry back. Hurry back.
Yes.
You're invited. You're invited. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. So thank you to our viewers for watching today, tuning in to this time of sharing this podcast with Mr. Errol Strachan, the Duke. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into the Author's Corner podcast, brought to you by booksbybethel.com, your go-to authors directory, and inspirepublishing.org, empowering self-publishing authors. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring conversations with amazing authors. Until next time, keep reading and keep writing.